if you know that your partner is cheating, how can you best address it without it becoming a accusation and a fight and everything else? Forget cheating. Let's say instead of cheating, let's say lying.
Okay.
Because cheating can be subjective. Cheating can be subjective.
Right.
So, especially in my situation where one side is open and one side is not, but you know that there's lying.
Yeah.
And one of the criteria that was given was, I don't want her to be the person that the other person is cheating on. So any relationship that she is having cannot be that situation. And I know that she is continuing those relationships. So how do I address that?
And so your goal is to get her to stop having that relationship. Am I right?
My goal is twofold. One is stop having that relationship, and because from a morality perspective, she has cheated on her husband previously. She's not married anymore. Neither one of us are.
Okay.
But she has been the person doing the cheating, and she has also been cheated on. And so now she's in that position where she is the person somebody else is cheating on with. The second portion of that is that one of my biggest triggers and one of my biggest walkaways is lying. But I need her to be able to admit that she's lying before I can address it and either choose to walk away or not walk away.
Well, what would get you to stay? Because you said one of your walkaways is lying and you've caught her in a lie. Why are you still staying? What are you hoping for?
I've never been in a relationship with more positives than this. There's so much that I want to work towards. There's so much that I see her working towards. We've been together for 6 years. We've been through a lot, both within our own relationship and outside the relationship. So,
okay.
At this moment, I am really struggling.
Sure.
And I'm actually sitting in my therapist waiting room right now. So I've only got about 5 minutes before I have to hang up. So I'll leave it to you to give me some bits and pieces.
So I think the real thing is you're realizing your boundaries aren't as firm as you thought they were. And that's very common in relationships. People often say, I won't be with a liar, and then they fall in love with somebody and they realize, I'm actually saying to myself I want to stay regardless of the lies. And so you have to ask yourself, well, what is the real boundary where I would say absolutely not? In terms of confronting her, I think having an honest conversation, saying, listen, lying to me I thought was a boundary, but I love you enough that I've caught some lies here and I still want to be with you, but I don't want it to continue because, being honest and truthful is a value to me. And I'm starting the conversation here saying I still want to be with you, but there's a behavior change I'm looking for. Remember that the goal of confrontive conversation is either to vent and just explain your frustration or to ask for a behavior change. And so you have to ask for a specific behavior change. You have to say, I'm wanting you to stop this. Are you willing to? And you have to kind of put it on the table that bluntly. And if she starts denying, hopefully you have some evidence or proof that you could say, well, I saw you do this and I saw you do this. I'm not here to play gotcha, but I know it's not true. And if you're going to try and gaslight me and say that it is true, then for sure it's over. So let's talk about the real issue.
Well, as soon as I presented the evidence, the relationship's over. Because my activities were not to find out. Were not appropriate activities.
Gotcha. That makes it more complicated.
It does. It absolutely does.
Yeah. Every time people play Inspector Gadget and they do these things, and people feel like a violation of privacy. But the funny thing is, it's that catch-22. You violated the privacy, but you were proven right. So it's like, what do we do? You could say, listen, I did something inappropriate and I did this, but I also caught you doing something inappropriate. Maybe this washes each other out, but can we have a conversation about how we move forward? It's possible you're playing with fire.
Yes.
You absolutely are playing with fire, and she might say, no, I can't be with anybody that's going to do that. But then you have to think to yourself, but you were lying, and I knew it, and I was right. And so you'd be surprised how often, if my wife found out that I had a private detective following her, that would be enough for her to want to get divorced. However, if that private detective caught her cheating, and I said I had a private detective, she would not say I want to get divorced. She would say, crap, I got caught. So you might be overestimating whatever you did to catch her in the lie. Possibly. You might be surprised. That's number one. But I think, if you're hiding and she's hiding, it's not really a relationship. The biggest part of having a relationship is trust. You can't function in a relationship without trust. If someone says, I'm going to the grocery store, and you say, no, you're not, you're going to visit so-and-so, that's not a relationship. That's a job.
And that's where 6 years in, there's a lot going on. There's a lot to unpack, a lot going on. There's been a lot of things that have happened. We've gone through therapy. We go through our own therapy. We started one of those programs, the All Right Couples. I actually spent almost $1,000 on printing them out.
Wow.
Because it comes electronically only.
Right.
And I want. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, my advice, if you were my client, right, I would say you don't want lying, and hiding is a version of lying. I think you need to come clean. And I think you need to understand that if you want a relationship that's free and transparent, you have to lead the way. And if that means that she breaks up with you because of how you discovered the information, then that's a risk you might have to take. I know it's probably not what you want to hear, but
You know what? No, it's you're saying what other people have said. You're saying what friends have said. You're saying you're not wrong in what you're saying, and I think that's part of why I've become a little distant. At least I feel like I'm becoming distant, and I feel like a lot of the things that I do is just putting on a face.
Right.
So
right, and it's not fun.
Right.
It's not fun to wear a mask.
There is a portion of me that I look at my activity and my behavior as a form of lying. I fully acknowledge that.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
but
good.
You know what? Like I said, as I'm sitting in my therapist's waiting room, I would love to do a follow-up call next time you do your.
Sure.
You open up your phone line.
Probably be the same time tomorrow. So if you want to hop on, you're more than welcome to.
I appreciate that. Thank you, and keep up what you're doing, because lots of your videos I'm watching. I'm taking it in, and the live streams I go back and watch them as well.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Have a good session with your therapist.